Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. Let me introduce myself. I'm Ana Figueroa. I'm a consultant at Richmond, Mexico. I see that I already have 200 attendees. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. And well, more and more people are connecting. So how have you been? I hope that you are taking advantage of the time that you are spending at home. That's a good thing to do to keep yourselves busy. I've been working. I have a lot of things going on at Richmond, and we've been working on different training sessions for the sales team, and well, I've kept myself busy. Let me share with you that next week we're gonna be on vacation, which is great, right? I'm gonna go to my living room. Okay, and that's pretty much as far as I've been going in the last few weeks. So thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar on language and culture. Hopefully you will get some good ideas that you will be able to use in your class. All right, so well, without any further ado, let's begin with the webinar per se. I'm gonna start sharing my webcam with you. I'm already sharing my webcam. I want to share my screen, but before that, the way in which we are going to be interacting is well, on your are you on the phone or on a computer? If you're on the phone, you have like three little buttons there that you can use to ask questions, to raise your hand. All right. As for the people who are working on a computer, I think you have pretty much the same. You have like the chance to raise your hand. All right. We also have a chat right here. If I type something, I can send this to all of you. So I already sent all of you a message, so we can be interacting in this chat. Another thing that we can see right here is that people can ask questions. So I see that many people have already written in this area, and people are saying hello from Colegio Agustín Yáñez. Thank you so much, Leti. From Los Mochis. Oh, it's been a long time since I was there. From Ecuador, from Sonora. Well, so thank you all of you for being here. From Honduras. Oh, wow, very good. Guayaquil. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, guys. Well, so as I was saying, you are going to have the chance to ask questions right here. I'm going to be paying attention to this area. You cannot see anything. Please check your settings. Another thing that I wanted to tell you before we continue is that sometimes, as you may already know, the connection is not ideal, right? So because it is not ideal, you might experience some delays in audio or video. And let me tell you that this video is being recorded. So this webinar is being recorded. So that in case you want to revisit it, you can always do it. At the end, I'm gonna show a slide with the address for the website where we have all of our videos. All right. So, well, that's what I wanted to tell you before we start. And now I'm gonna start sharing my screen. I see that some people have their hands up, and I've already put them down. Okay. So The video, I repeat, is gonna be on our website. Go to stage. At the end of the webinar, I'm gonna show a slide where you will be able to see the information as to how to get to that website or the URL. All right, so we're gonna begin. All right, now you're supposed to be able to see my screen, right? So we're gonna be talking about language and culture, and there's like a lot to it. Really, there is like a lot about culture that we can use in class. So the idea basically is that we can learn some ways in which we can incorporate culture in our language classes. And right here on this slide, you can see some words which are related to culture, right? Obviously, the two words that are in the session, in the name, in the title of the session, we have their language and we have culture. All right. So before you memorize them all, I want you to start thinking of this. All right. I want you to think of things that you relate to the word culture. What words pop into your mind when you listen to the word culture? Please share that with me in the chat or in the question section. It doesn't matter as long as you share. Okay, I can see here somebody said costumes, food, books, traveling, art, folklore, food, roots of a country, beliefs, traditions. All right, excellent. Thank you so much for participating. Okay, very good. There is a lot to it, as I mentioned before. Wait. So let's take a look at only some of the things which are related to culture in one of the aspects of the word, because there are many different aspects that we're going to check later on. So here we have some things which have some sort of relation or that are embedded in culture. So we have fine arts, right? We have literature, drama, theater, classical music, but not only classical music, also popular music. All music is, almost all music is cultural, I would dare to say. Folk dancing, games. I'm not talking about necessarily about like video games, that perhaps there is a gamer culture also, but I'm talking more about like traditional games that we play in our countries. Okay. Cooking and dress, right? Dress as in the dresses from chinas poblanas, for example, in Mexico, or the geisha's way of dressing and putting on makeup and everything. So all of that. All right. So now we're gonna check one by one. When I show you the pictures, I want you to try to come back to these ideas that we have right here so that we remember that, as if it were some sort of vocabulary activity in which I already presented these terms to you, and then you're gonna try to say them just by heart. All right. So let's go to the first one. What was that? Do you remember what that was? I'm sure you do, right? It was fine arts. Excellent. And how can we use fine arts or in our classes, right? Well, basically, there are many different ways. Something that I'd like to say is that if it is possible to incorporate technology into our classes, sometimes that is very useful. And nowadays, I think that there is no other choice, right? But well, so we have fine arts. We can have students find a work of art that they really like. They can also ask their teachers or their parents or other people about their favorite artists and their favorite works of art. It could be a sculpture, it could be a painting, it could be a carving. I mean, there are lots of different ways of working with these kind of things. And that would be one thing, right? Like to do a little bit of research about the people that they interact with. But also what we can do is help students express or learn words that are going to help them express um, their feelings towards the works of art, their ideas, their impressions, why they think the artist created that particular work of art, or basically mention all the things that had to do with the art in itself and with the feelings and the relationship between both, right? The intentions of the artist. So fine arts are a great way to help students work with a visual part, right, in which they're going to interpret images, because that's the first step, right? First, you need to interpret something so that later on you can think of ways in which you can, well, draw something or create something that expresses what you want. So those are some ideas right there. Now the next one, do you remember what this picture referred to? Let me check the box. Yeah, children love drawing and coloring, so it's a great, another great activity that you can do, and then they can talk about what they did, about their art, because they always feel proud about the things that they make, right? All right, exactly. Somebody already answered literature. So this refers to literature. Are you gonna read a complete book in your class? No, please don't. It's not. I mean, it would be great if we had like all the time in the world. Unfortunately, that's what we always lack, right? However, what we can do is, number one, I like to dictate sometimes. I like to dictate from Harry Potter, for example, or for a very popular book, and students have to try to guess, or they can, because of some names or something, they know that it's from Harry Potter, right? And that makes it a little bit exciting for the ones who like it. Another thing with literature is that sometimes you may have to adapt the tasks. The vocabulary may be difficult, or what I like to do and what I think is a good idea is to always give them a little glossary with the most important things, not for every single word that they don't understand, because that would be a very long glossary. I am talking about like 5 or 6 words, up to 8 or 10. I think that's like the most you should have in your glossary. And but words that really could interfere with the understanding. What else can you do besides reading, comprehension, dictation? You can have them reenact the part of the book that you read, or create a dialogue or a comic related or somehow related to the book, or that represents what you just read. So they can also learn about the biographies of the people who wrote them, learn about the times when these books were written. They can watch videos so that they can have a better idea of how people used to live in those times, or in that place that is mentioned in the books, so that they can have like a better picture of what it was like for the author, from the author's point of view. And if it is a fantastic novel, well, that helps them develop even more imagination, right? So you yourselves can share your favorite books or your favorite authors with your students if they are appropriate, for them, for their age, and you can check them or share that with them. Okay. I'm just checking your messages. Don't think that I'm frozen. Okay, so Marta Carrasco is saying that she relates the topic of the book or novel to students' lives. Like, exactly. This is a great way of personalizing instruction by asking them, what would you do in that situation? Okay, so that's something very, very useful to do. So remember, we always need to make connections to what students know. And what do they know? They know about themselves and their families. All right. This other one, what is it about? Who can remember? Let me see if anybody's answered already. Art. Nope. Marcela, sorry, it's not. Aha, drama. The people who said drama, you're right. So this one is about drama. And as for drama, of course, we use dialogues a lot in English class, don't we? So for drama, what I like to do is to have my students use drama techniques. Or what does that mean? I mean, it's something very simple, but exaggerate a little perhaps. Exaggerate because they are gonna learn like about intonation. They're gonna learn about probably how to express themselves with their bodies, and in this way, they're gonna feel English a little bit more like a part of themselves, so that they can use it in a more natural way. Something that I do sometimes is the read, look up, and say technique. It's literal like that. Read, look up, and say. So you read something, you keep it right here in your mind. You look up and you say that. And in this way, you can also use drama techniques, right? Like you can have them try to really make themselves understood by using a good volume of voice, right? Because in drama, the volume is very important. We can have them use different gestures and facial expressions, right? So we can also have them, and this is something that probably requires some preparation, or it can be something very short. I mean, it depends on how you can go about it. But something that you can do is a reader's theater. A reader's theater is great because you don't have to memorize the dialogues. Sometimes that is a hard part. The reader's theater is precisely similar to what I was telling you about the read, look up, and say technique. Students would have their script and they would have to act as if they were in a play, but they can read the text. So that's a good opportunity for them to practice different things. Um, and you can give a little bit of practice for this short play, like for some classes, and then they can probably, if they want to, if they feel comfortable with that, they can do it in front of others. Let me see, there are some questions here. Okay, I'm glad you like the idea. Thank you, teachers. All right, now this one that, let me tell you that I love it. I know that it's not like something that everybody enjoys or is fond of, but I really love this one. What is it, people? What is it? Music. Exactly. Not only music, but classical music. Exactly. Very good for those who answered. So classical music basically is beauty in itself. That's the way I see it. It can awaken different kinds of feelings. It can make you feel happy. Sometimes it takes you to more like to areas in which you remember beautiful things, but at the same time you feel nostalgia for those things. So classical music is a very powerful peripheral for our classroom. For example, students may be writing a letter to their family or to someone they love, right? It helps the brain to study, of course. So students may be writing a letter to someone, and if you play the correct classical music, you can really get them to probably like to give them some inspiration. That's what I wanted to say, right? Which classical artists? Mozart. My favorite, well, one of my favorites is Chopin, but you can play Mozart, you can play Chopin, Paganini, Beethoven. There are so many. Schubert, Clementi, his sonatinas are beautiful. I used to play some of those in the piano, and they are great. Not to show off, of course. Okay, but well, so very good. What else can we do with classical music? Basically, I would use it as a peripheral in my English classes. And we could also study the biographies of some interesting composers like Beethoven, right? As you know, he became deaf. He still went on to compose music, which is amazing or unbelievable, right? Well, let's go to our next slide. And this one, I know that you love it. Who doesn't? Everybody loves music. Um, there's no, well, I have never met a person who doesn't like music. I think it's part of what makes us humans. And well, this is um, what, well, these are statistics, right? This is a graph that shows the different types of music, and probably this is too general, okay? But this is about 18 countries only, and this is like the popularity of the different types of music. This was carried out in 2018, so many changes may have already happened since then. Okay, so one idea that Daniela is giving us is that we can use lyrics of songs for dictations. Okay, that would be great. Thank you. Yes, that would be a great idea. I have never thought about it. Studying music and its culture is a really big topic. It is indeed. I'd like to uh, I'd like to challenge you to listen to your students' music. I know that perhaps it's not like your cup of tea. No, the kind of music that they listen to may not be your cup of tea. All right. We can also look for the lyrics meaning. That's another good idea. And you can get to know a little bit more about what your students like so that you can incorporate that into your classes to motivate them and to sing the songs that they like, to carry out many of the activities that you've already been sharing with me right here in the chat. For example, some teachers are saying that they can look for some words, look for the meaning of the songs, that they have a song for each topic. Wow, that is awesome. It must take you some time to look for the songs. I'd like to know more about that. All right. Well, so these were some ideas. The other things that I recommend is, for example, create an album cover. That is another good idea. Students can listen to, or yeah, they can design their own album even, right? They give a name to the album. They write the lists of the songs. This would be a project, right? In case you have some time or you want to assign a project that is carried out throughout the semester or the school year, it can be an album, design the art album, the name of the album, the titles of the songs. Even you can go as far as having them design the lyrics for the songs. So, and you can tell them the specific topics you want them to work with. That could be an idea. Or write your own song, write a song using this vocabulary. We can have some total physical response activities in which, well, using music as well. And singing, of course, is great. It when you sing with others, there's like a nice connection with people. So anything that you feel comfortable doing in your class is great. Always keep in mind that we need to have an aim, or at least that's what they say, right? That we should have an aim for every single thing we do in class. But I think that regardless of what you think the aim is, students are always going to get something good out of it, right? Well, with this project, we can motivate them to learn English, right? Because they're going to be very happy to create their album. All right, let's continue. And now we have this one, which was, what was it? Do you remember? I already have an answer. Folk dancing. Thank you, Rosa Sarko. So folk dancing is, well, I was thinking about ways in which we could incorporate this one into English class. I was thinking that basically by reading, right? Reading about the meaning of the way in which these people are dressed. Probably the meaning of the dance in itself. And of course, I don't think it would be a good idea for like to make our students dance in class, right? So mainly through reading and through videos so that they learn more about these cultures. Students like dancing. Well, yes, yes, they do. if they like it, you can play. I remember that I used to have, well, with my children, we have this like world, this globe, and it you could play the songs from different cultures, and we used to dance to those. It could be good as an energizer just for 1 minute in class. All right, but mainly I would say through reading and learning about the meanings and the different ways, the different dances and everything. Let's continue. What, which is this? Games. Thank you again, Rosa. So this is about games, and we can learn also through videos or reading. We can learn about different games from around the world. We can learn about games from Mexico, for example, about the Juego de Pelota, right? That famous game in which the winners were killed. That was their prize, right? So we can talk about this kind of content, which is interesting and which students are going to connect to another subject that is history, right? And then they can also talk about the games that they play, which is a great cultural thing that everybody, or well, most students will like. I mean, like football. It started in England. I'm talking about football, right? Like not American football. That's another cultural aspect, a different one. But football in itself has a great history and tradition, and students really like to know about these famous football players and everything. So exactly, that's what I'm saying. Soccer. They call it soccer, but in England they always say football. They never say soccer. Hopscotch is another game that we can learn about that is very traditional. All right. So well, describing games, talking about the rules of the games, that would be what we use the language for. Uh-huh. And now we have. I hope that you had breakfast, guys. Please don't tell me that you didn't, because I'm gonna feel bad that I'm showing you this one. So food, yes, food. Oh my God, there are so many things that can be learned in English regarding food. You can learn about ingredients. You can learn about techniques, no, like chopping, slicing, all of those. You can learn about traditional dishes from around the world, from around Mexico. Only it's like a lot. Um, you can talk about personal likes, right? What do your students like? What do they eat in their own house? Because from house to house, there are lots of differences. Like, how do you make even something as simple as a sandwich? Do you put mayo on both sides of the bread or not? So, sharing information about themselves and also comparing to other cultures or with the culture of other students, even if they're from the same country, is something that really enriches us. Mhm. Learn the Mexican food by colors is an idea that Teresa is giving us. It is great, right? Learning the Mexican food by colors. I like that one. Following instructions through recipes, exactly. Uh-huh. Um, Gastronomy, everything that has to do with the art of cooking. We can learn about the ingredients, what the names of the animals are when they are alive and when they are food. But recipes are a great way, a great thing, because you can make it like, well, it can be something very simple or it can be something a little bit more complex. And students can go as far as recording a video in which they show how to make something, or they can simply write it down and add some pictures. Nowadays, with all these techie tools that exist, we have the chance to create infographics or to create presentations for showing the steps to prepare something. Mm-hmm. So, well, these are some aspects that I wanted to share with you. Okay. Students can prepare a fruit salad. Exactly. I mean, if you have that chance in your classroom, it's great. In Ecuador, the traditional dish is fritada. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I will have to go someday to Ecuador. Classify them in healthy or unhealthy. Exactly. All right. So those are some great ideas. Thank you for sharing. I really love that you participate. Okay. So this is the last one, and it was, if you do you remember? Let me check if you remember. Nobody has said anything yet. Don't worry, Liz. I'm glad you're back. Dress, exactly, dress. So basically, we can talk about the colors. We can talk about the fabrics, no? Learn that vocabulary, the different types of garments that exist. We can have like task-based activities in which students describe somebody's outfit. We can make comparisons between the different cultures, and we can also learn about the reasons those costumes of how they dress, of what they wear. We can learn specific names for the different kinds of hats, or if people cover themselves up, what's the name of that? So basically, I think that this topic lends itself to learning a lot of vocabulary. So we can learn about clothes from different parts of our country or from other countries. Thank you, Maria Rosario. Exactly. So this one helps a lot, especially talking with vocabulary and describing and imagining and everything. Okay. So we have completed this part of culture, which is very, very interesting and very rich, and there's a lot to cut from. And let's continue because I also have here some definitions of culture. Mhm. Before we check these definitions, what I just did, it took a long time, but what I just did is like I was activating prior knowledge, right? So this is something that we should always do with our students. We are talking about the topic of culture, so I tried to fish for information from you about precisely the topic that we checked. We also kind of like presented vocabulary, all the words at the beginning, and then we did a vocabulary activity, if you realize, right? You told me the name of the different pictures. So these are some tips or some ways in which you can start a skills lesson if you should have one, like a listening lesson. That's the way you can start, right? Lead in, presentation of vocabulary, and vocabulary practice. And in the leading, you would most likely activate prior knowledge. All right. Well, so we were talking about this slide that we have right here. Okay. And we have some different definitions, right? Because culture is much more than what we just saw. So let's check these definitions and try to think of activities that you could have your students that pop into your mind when we check these definitions, please. All right. So for example, in the first one, the customs and beliefs, art, way of life, and social organization of a particular country or group, students can do research, right, from an English-speaking country, and they can do research about the beliefs of these people or what what they like or about their personality as a society, because even the societies in themselves have personalities, right? The other cultures have an idea of your culture. They say, like, for example, about the Mexican people, they say that for the most, like, we are friendly people, we are welcoming, warm. Those are some words, right? So we can have students check these definitions and do those kind of things. Students can do research on an English speaking country. That's what I already mentioned, right? Then we have number two, a country, group, etc., with its own beliefs. That's the second definition. Then we have the third definition, that is the one that we were basically checking, right? Well, well, in this case, yeah, it's everything related to art, music, and culture, thought of as a group. And here comes also popular culture. Hmm, I was thinking about, for preparing this session, I was thinking about English-speaking countries. However, you do not necessarily have to speak about those as long as the content is in English, you're teaching English, right? So many people, for example, are fond of anime or manga. So that's a good opportunity for you to bring a little bit of culture to class to connect with your students more and have them share what they like, or they can write, like make probably a little comic, or they can do something or read something in English about these different kinds of popular culture that we have. All right. Well, so then we have number 4, the beliefs and attitudes about something that people, if this is something, guys, in case you are wondering, this means something. This is a way, this definition is from a dictionary. I still use this dictionary. Sorry, it's like from another publishing house, but it's a very good one. It's the Advanced Dictionary from Oxford. And well, this is where I took the definitions from, all right? And the last one about the beliefs, I think it's very important to know about them, right? To talk about and learn to understand the attitudes of people, about their values. And then students have to reflect upon that, upon their own culture, and compare it to others. That would be the important thing there. It's actually part of the standards for learning languages. Later on, we're going to talk about that. But like being making connections and making cultural comparisons is a very important part of learning culture too. All right. So if we know about different cultures, we are going to be able to collaborate in a better way with others. And that's, remember, that is a 21st century skill. Nowadays, collaboration is very important. Exactly. Something means algo. Exactly. Okay. So, well, I have more activities here divided in this way, because whenever you try to think of an activity, I want you to think of the advantages that these activities offer. So what can you do? Well, in terms of projects, students can get, like, you tell them, or they can decide on which country they want to work on, and they do research on a particular aspect. It could be about the art, about the architecture, about the games, about food, right? And they can create a product. What I mean here by creating a product is that I think that students should have a choice and voice about what they want to do. Many students, and I know that you know this, many students do not like to present in front of a class. If your class is about speaking in public, well, then there's no other choice. But we can save them that embarrassment, and we can have them really put into practice what they can actually do, or what they are good at. For example, some students are really good at drawing. They can do that. Some others may prefer to watch a video and to record a video, sorry. And in that way, they can present to their classmates, but in an asynchronous way. So they're not going to be there in front, sweating and feeling all red and flushed and everything. Okay. Other products could be, for example, a digital portfolio, or a blog, or I mentioned a video, a PowerPoint presentation, infographic, poster, something physical or something digital. It's up to them. But I think that they must have a choice. Okay, for example, Carla Esther is saying that her students make posters with the info of English-speaking country in groups. That is great, right? So this is a very good option for a project. And remember, a project is something that can last for more than 1 week. It depends on how big it is. Students carry out surveys to know more about the cultural aspects from students in their class. They can make surveys about music, about the different TV shows that they watch, talking about cultural, popular culture, about recipes, right? We can do, we can bring to the class a favorite recipe from our grandma or from our mom. We can share it. We can talk about the ingredients. Kindergarten activities. Well, I would say, for example, listen to songs and enjoying the songs, listening to popular stories and also enjoying them so that they can be motivated to learn English. Puppet recreations of some of the stories that you listen in class. Students make their own puppets. It doesn't have to be something very sophisticated. With a sock, they can do it, right? What else? Probably thinking about their own diets and classifying ingredients into healthy and unhealthy. Okay. Skills development, guys. We can have readings, of course, for example, about an artist, like we have been mentioning. Read about what people are like also. There are some websites in which you can find some information. Of course, it's like very general because not everybody is the same. But well, like in general ways, what people are like. Watch a video. For example, there are some good videos in Khan Academy. Khan Academy is a website where you can learn a lot of things. And about art, there are some videos from sculptures, and they talk about the sculpture and the artist and the meaning of the sculpture and everything. And then you have comprehension activities and everything. The name is Khan Academy. I'm gonna write it here in the chat for you. It's like that with KHA, all right? Well, then we have watch a video, I already mentioned. Tell the class how your family celebrates Christmas. There are differences from one family to another, right? There are different activities, different kinds of food, different beverages. Do they have dinner before opening the presents of after or afterwards during Christmas, or how does it go? Who comes to their house? All right. Okay, somebody's mentioning about cultural shock. That is great. We also have a little bit of that there. I teach art and body expression in English. All right. Thank you, Gloria. I'm glad that I'm glad that I am giving you ideas which are useful for the other teachers. Okay. Write an email to a friend telling him what places you recommend that he visits in Mexico or in your own country, giving recommendations as for the food, the places, museums, the weather, the clothing, even security aspects. Interview a person from another country would be really interesting. Now that you are gonna have my information, you can, if you want to, we can, you could, your students could call me through Skype or something like that. I know I'm not a native speaker, but well, at least I'm from another country, from those who are not from Mexico. Okay, and something that is going to be very useful for these days, teachers, visit a virtual museum. Nowadays, many museums opened their doors so that we can visit them without paying anything. I think the Louvre is opened, or the Prado Museum in Mexico, San Ildefonso. So there are many museums which are already available for us to visit, and they can write a report. They are telling me here that Google Earth is great. So that's another good option to explore more and write a report. Remember that in some of the certification exams, students are supposed to write a report. So this would be a great way of having them practice. Vocabulary, we already talked a lot about it, but also I was thinking that they could learn about musical instruments. You can play the instrument, the actual audio, so that they listen to it, and then you can start teaching them the names of the instruments, ingredients which are popular, because sometimes you learn ingredients like, but they are more common for for the other side, for the United States, but sometimes we don't teach them like the most common ones that we have in Mexico, and I think that is important. They need to know about their own country, how to name everything that they are surrounded by. Okay. The Museum of Natural History. Okay. How they celebrate the birthday in different countries. Thank you for your participation. These are not my ideas. These are ideas from teachers who are contributing. Okay, kinds of music, films, etc. Tools used in painting. And then for language, this is a part that is very important for you because, well, we always try to have our activities or to make them relate to a grammar point or structure or something, okay? Options for your students not to translate. Oh my God. I think this would be the topic of another webinar, but I would tell you so far that you have to establish clear rules and you have to give them the chance to sometimes speak their native language, like 1-2 minutes, just so that they let it out, and try to help them to understand or to deduce meaning from context. You have to model that first before they can do it, but try to model a lot this deducing meaning. Like, how did you think I know the meaning of this word? But well, let's continue. And we have this language part that I was telling you. So when we are talking about culture, when students are going to, when students in class carry out the activities and everything, they need to communicate. They need to communicate to express data, to express thoughts, feelings, okay, to interpret facts, right? They need to give examples also, so that that language is important for them. How to describe a process, express conditions, describe trends, talking about purpose, defining, even the conditionals are very useful. So everything can be connected to a specific point in language, all right? So let's continue. English is spoken everywhere, almost, all right? So there are lots. You can basically use any of these countries for your culture class. And this map shows where English is spoken the most, right? So here we have the green ones are the ones in which English is like the official language, although in some of them is not official. Okay, talking about future dreams, that would be also a great idea for class. All right, so as I said before, you don't necessarily need to talk about the English-speaking countries. You can talk about any country. As long as you do things in English, you can do that. So let's continue, and now we're gonna take a look at the United Kingdom. All right. So when you think about the United Kingdom, what comes to your mind? Let me see some answers. Okay, I suppose Queen, royalty, Harry Potter. Okay, very good. So before we go on talking about the United Kingdom, we are going to learn about the countries that make up the United Kingdom, because let me tell you, and this is something that not everybody remembers, the United Kingdom and England is not the same. England is part of the United Kingdom, but there are other countries which form part of it as well. So I don't know. I don't know if you have or if you can see your handout, because on the GoToWebinar app, I uploaded a handout for you. It's called Handout Language and Culture Webinar. It's a PDF. So please tell me that you can see it. Please tell me that you can see the handout. If you can see it, please open it, okay? I'm gonna show you a video. Check it out. Check out the handout. Okay, it looks like this. Yes, and in this handout, what you have to do is you are gonna watch a video and you have to complete with the information that is missing. If you don't have the handout, just pay attention to the video and try to think about these things or write it in another piece of paper, all right? And later on, just if you say, I cannot live without that handout, I'll send it to you, all right? So I'm gonna show a video. So this is not gonna be displayed for long. So I'm gonna show a video and you're gonna complete the information in the handout. Let's go to this part. Wait a second. Aha. Okay, so let me show my video. It's called UK Geography, UK Country. You can find it on YouTube. It's great. By the way, I put all the websites here in your handout. All the websites are there so that you can only click on it and go to the websites. The video is here, and the link for the video, you have it there in your handout. You guys don't think that I've left. Let me see if you can see my screen already. Wait. It reads here waiting for next screen. I don't know what that means. Wait, I have to solve this situation. Sharing, show screen. Can you see my presentation yet? No, right? Yes? Can you see the presentation where we were before? Nope, yes, yes, okay. Yes, I see that most of you can see it now. Okay. So I hope that you like the song. If this were a class, I would play it a second time, but there's no time, unfortunately. So these are the answers to the handout that I gave you. And this is a great way of learning. I really like this song, so I had to include it in the webinar. It was really like catchy and it had a great rhythm. So I hope that you liked it too. And these are the answers. So the capitals are London, Belfast, Edinburgh, and Cardiff. And these are the things that they mentioned like as important things. And some of them were very hard. I mean, I would have never expected you to write them down, like this one, Caernarfon and Dolwyddelan. So basically, those ones were impossible to catch. But for example, in Scotland, they mentioned the Wallace Monument, the Snake Stone, which is the other name of the Pictish stone. And some of the names actually did appear there. So, well, this would be a great activity for you to get your students to know a little bit more about what it was our how the United Kingdom is. All right. The link of the video is in your handout. At the bottom of the handout, you will find all the links for everything that I used for this presentation. Tea time in England, guys. Tell me who has drunk English tea. Who has drunk English tea? The name is English breakfast. That's the one that I usually drink. Yay! Do you like it, Marta? I love it. I love tea. Let me tell you, with some digestives, which is the little biscuits, because they don't call it cookies, right? They call them biscuits. So they have it like in this way, and we're gonna learn a little bit more about this tea time. So let me take a look at the chat. But Mexican. All right. I love English tea. It's great for waking up. It has a little bit of caffeine, and you you have to have some milk with this tea. All right. So if you pay attention again to your handout, we're gonna have another activity which is related to tea in this case. All right. So before we check this, before we do the activity and everything, I want you to think about this very popular English habit, drinking tea. What questions do you have about this habit? What questions would you ask or would you like to ask? What questions would you like to ask a British person or an English person about this habit? Try to think about it, because remember that with our students, we first need to try to instill a little bit of curiosity. Here we have some questions. Is it okay to use sugar or milk? I used to drink, okay, white tea. How often do you drink tea? Okay, so those would be some great questions. And remember, when in Rome, do as the Romans, right? So we're gonna watch a video. That will help us to answer this activity. In this case, the activity is you need to cross out the words that you hear in the video, right? So we're gonna watch another video, and you're gonna learn not only about these different vocabulary words, but also we're going to learn the cultural aspect of tea. You're gonna see this video is awesome. I really love it because he is so English, all right? And after you do this one, please try to solve the second exercise as well. I know that we're not gonna watch it twice, but well, the two exercises are meant for the same video, all right? So very good, thank you for your questions that you would use for the video. All right, they usually drink tea with milk anytime. I love it. Yes, me too. I love English breakfast tea. So are you ready to watch the video? Let's do it. And just let me find the little button that helps me do this. Okay, here it goes. So remember to answer your handout if you can. Why am I looking at myself? Okay, I think here it goes. Or not. Okay, hopefully the video will appear in a second. Okay. Okay. Wait a second, guys. Be patient, please. I don't see where the video is. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna play it now. Okay, guys, I hope that you liked this video. I really loved it, and I think we can use this video to share, to teach vocabulary, because many times we present the vocabulary beforehand, but in this case, probably it's not necessary because we can see all the things, and the video in itself can be our vocabulary presentation, right? So that was one of the things that I liked. I like the attitude that the man has. He's really, really English, as I told you, right? I really like the part where he says that if you steer it in this way, you're going to create an awful lot of racket. That sounded really, really British. I really like it, and I hope you did too. Now, what about the activities? Okay, how posh? Exactly. That's exactly the impressions that I want you to tell me. Even with your students, right? Here, somebody mentioned it's a total ritual. Yes, it is. It is a total ritual. They drink tea all the time, but in the afternoon, like before having supper, they may have this. They may have tea with sandwiches, right? Somebody said how posh, how sophisticated. Okay. Remember, I remind you once again that the links of the video are in your handout. All right. I fell in love with him. Oh my God. All right. Excellent. Thank you for your comments. This is culture awareness. That's precisely what we mean with this kind of activities. All right. This makes me feel like a cave woman. That's a very funny comment. Thank you, everyone. So let's check the answers for the activities. He mentioned tea. He mentioned sugar. He mentioned pastries, scones. correct me if I'm wrong, guys. He also mentioned sandwiches, teaspoon, strainer, and napkin. Never called a serviette, right? That's what he said. Okay. So, okay, scones, never pronounce, not pronounced scones. Okay, he said. He even helped us with pronunciation there, right? Very good. And now these ones, this is the second activity, right? In a normal class, of course, we would play the video more than once, but there's a lot there's a lot to this video. Try to think of other ways in which we could exploit it. In this case, we check the vocabulary in the first exercise, and in this exercise that we have here on the screen, we are working a little bit with sequencers. As you mentioned, this is cultural awareness, so you can also make sure, or you have to make sure to discuss the cultural part of the video with questions to your students and helping them compare their own culture. For example, would you like to have tea in this way? How would you describe the man? And are the rules easy to follow? Are there any rules like this in Mexico for eating something, specifically speaking? For example, in your country, or well, in my country, in Mexico, I mean, we would frown upon somebody who eats his tacos with a fork and knife, for example. So probably that's like a ritual also that students could describe in a paragraph or in a video or something. So let's check this one. El link del video está en el handout que les puse aquí del lado derecho, guys. The link to the video is in a handout that I shared with you. Please look for it in your tools. Okay, first the napkin. Never call the serviette. It's letter E. Take it and place it on your lap. Number 2, when it comes to stirring our tea, go back and forth in a 6-12 motion, he said. Then we have, after you've eaten the sandwiches, with your fingers, not with a knife and fork. I think that is the one. We don't use a knife to cut into our scones. We break them with our hands in two. And the last one, when you have finished, make sure you dab your mouth, not wipe, right? So we learned a lot of verbs right here, like stirring, dab, break, place it. So those are the verbs that could be useful. And well, basically this one is practicing more than anything vocabulary. What level could we use it with? Well, basically any level. It depends on the exercises that you design for this activity. Intermediate and up. It could also be basic if you only have them write down some of the vocabulary words, probably. So it depends on the activities, the level that we can use it with. Okay, let's talk about language now. Let's talk a little bit about language. It's a super interesting aspect of culture, because even when lots of countries speak English, differences in lexicon can still be found, right? And it's always appealing and interesting for our students to know this. So as for this language differences, there is a website called, I also included it in your handout. This one is Board Panda, and here is in this website you can see like the equivalent, like the two terms in American English and in British English for the different things. So that would be a really good way of getting students a little bit more, helping them to learn more vocabulary. So this website is really helpful. No, like this one is surprising chips, right? And French fries, and these ones like the Sabritas are called crisps, and in American English they're potato chips. As I told you before, the cookies in American English, in British English, are called biscuits, right? I'm feeling a little bit peckish. That would somebody like from Britain would say that, right? When they are hungry. The spelling of the words. Sometimes students wonder, why is it spelled in this way? Why is it spelled in other way? Okay, Andrea, that's where I'm going in a moment, because she's telling me about Aussies and Canadians. So yes, in one moment we'll we'll talk about those ones too. So, well, check out this website. It's in your handout. And now let's talk about Australia. Exactly. And you were telling me about Aussies, right? This is the way some people refer to Australian people, like Aussies. Do you know any words that Australians use? Because, of course, just as we have American English, British English, we also have Australian English. So I was wondering if you know any terms that Australians use. Mate. Yeah, mate. Exactly. And then there's Barbie for barbecue. All right. Blimey. Blimey. And it's also British, right? All right. Mate, Paul. Okay. So do you want to learn more about Australian English? Let's do it. And for this one, I took an activity from our Richmond Stopwatch book. In here, we're going to find something related to well, it's a culture lesson about Australia precisely. So let's answer these questions first. Australia is in the, I think everybody knows that it's in the southern hemisphere. If you said southern, you're right. The second, it is near Greenland or it is near New Zealand. 3 seconds to think about the answers. All right, I'm activating prior knowledge. Thank you. They already answered here, New Zealand. Oops. Oh, yes, here it is. Next one, native people in Australia are called Navajo or Aborigines. What do you think? Exactly, everybody knows the answers. Aborigines. I am trying to draw and it doesn't draw. Yeah, now it does. Australia is famous for kangaroos and koalas or kiwis. Koalas, koalas, koalas. Everybody saying? Very good. And the last question, the capital city of Australia. This is a tricky one, guys. Yes, if you said Canberra, you're right. Many people think that it's Sydney, but it's wrong. The actual capital city of Australia is Canberra. Okay, now the vocabulary. Okay, before we do, I decided to do it in a different way because in the activities in the book, first they had to read and then they had to do this matching, but I thought it would be more fun if you try to guess first and then we check the answers. So try to match Tugs, Barbie, Esky, Ace, and Tucker to these different things that we have here, to these pictures. We have excellent in the first one, then we have a swimming suit, then we have a cooler, then we have food on a grill, and the last one is food. So which do you think is the Australian word for these items? Okay, I see that some people are sending their answers. Thank you so much. So, well, 5 more seconds to to solve this exercise because we're running out of time. All right, now it's time to check. Good day, Emily. Hey, everybody, this is my niece, Emily from Canada. Where are your dogs? My what? Your swimsuit. So dogs is swimsuit. My cousin looks like a snowman. All right. In this case, it is a hot Christmas day in Sydney, Australia, when Emily arrives from Vancouver. Do you have Barbies in Canada? Barbie dolls? These are prawns, those are sausages, and those are baked potatoes. And this is a lamington. Put that back in the esky, Chris. Later that day, do you know how to swim? Yes. Ace, what about surfing? No, I'm scared of waves. Come on, I'll teach you. Woohoo! Hey, the talker's ready, kids. So, Tux is swimsuit, Barbie is barbecue, Esky is a portable cooler, Ace is great or very good, and Tucker is food. So today you learned some Australian English. When it is going to be useful? Well, should you ever listen to an Australian person speaking, you will perhaps understand a little bit more easily some of the things he's saying, and you will also be aware that English is used in many different ways, and that every single country or culture that speaks the language is gonna make it their own by changing some things, right? So this is also awareness, cultural awareness, right? Perhaps you will never have to use these terms, or if you go to Australia, you may, right? But it's something interesting and something that enriches us culturally speaking. Just to round this up, we have a comprehension activity. So where does the story take place? If you said, let me see, I already have an answer here. Okay, exactly. It would be useful to understand your exchange student. In this case, it's on a hot day. Emily's from Canada. Emily's confused about some Australian words. And finally, Emily learns to surf. All right. I would have given you more time, but we are running out of it. So let's continue. Body language. Somebody was saying this in the chat before. Somebody mentioned that they like to teach their students like by, I can't remember the exact term that you used, but like to making an impact on them. So in this case, we can learn a little bit about body language. Before we check the next one, what is happening in this picture? Look at this picture, and here we can see like a little bit of a clash, culturally speaking, right? Because one of them wants to say hello by shaking hands, whereas the other is bowing, right? So it's important for us to know this. Is it our role as English teacher to teach these things? Well, part of teaching a language is also teaching culture. Not only, as I told you, English is spoken everywhere nowadays, and students may have to do business or to interact one day with a Japanese person or with a person from a very different culture, and they need to be prepared. And the way in which we can help them is not only by telling them the information, but by making them aware of these differences so that they are not like taken by surprise. All right. So, oh my God, I know. Don't tell me anything about that horrible thing. It's just that the comments they are writing something related to a virus I don't want to think about. But well, yes, nowadays nobody shakes hands. All right, let's talk a little bit about this. And as you can see, this is a little bit of reading. And let's take a look. The thumbs up sign is used in many cultures to mean okay, like okay, right? In France, it also means number one. But in Islamic countries, you should never, ever make that gesture, okay? Because it is something rude. Saying goodbye the way Americans do can be interpreted in some places, like in some parts of Europe and Latin America, as a sign for saying no, like this, no? I suppose like this. It may mean no in some places. Counting with the hands. This is something very interesting. How do you guys count? The way I do it is like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I have seen, well, I saw in another presentation from Estela, one of my coworkers, that she found that in Japan they count like this: 1, 2. No, how was it? I think it was the other way around, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like they retracted the fingers rather than putting them like this. So this is something very interesting, and the Chinese can count up to 10 with just one hand. The French start with the thumb and end with the pinky, and Americans start with the pinky and end with the thumb. So this is another cultural interesting thing, okay? All right. So okay, in Venezuela, they are telling us that the A, okay, is rude in Venezuela. So I didn't know that. Imagine if I went and I did like, okay, right? That would be very bad. I might get kicked out of a place or something. So in this case, it means zero or nothing in France, but in some countries it is an insult. And the come here is also an insult in many Asian countries, as they only do this with pets, not with people. So how is this information useful? What would you do in your class for, okay, now I understand. Well, in case you are curious, guys, in Venezuela, if you do this sign, it's like calling them an insult, fag. Okay, well, I'm sorry to say this, but we're amongst adults. So let's continue. And I was asking you how you would use this with your students. First, they would need to read it, and after they read it, you would need to ask some questions of comprehension. No, if you go to France, how would you say zero to a person? If you went to France, how would you say zero? If somebody in Venezuela made that sign to you, what would you do? How would you react? If if you go to France, would you use the thumbs up sign? Yes or no, and why? So we can use this for students to talk a little bit about the reading, but using conditionals or other structures from English. Okay, and this has taken us all the way to Ireland, which is our last video. And for this last video, I want you to, before I show it to you, I want you to think about this information. All right. Okay, so we have the symbol of Ireland. Try to think about the answers, and then you're gonna check with the video if you had the right answers. The name of some Irish cities or landmarks. Try to think of some places you remember from Ireland. Snakes, are there snakes? Or what animals can you remember that live there? Or do you think live there? What's the weather like in March in Ireland? And finally, what do you think the colors in the flag mean? So think about those things. And I'm gonna share with you a video so that you can learn a little bit more about Ireland. Here it goes. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Some people were telling me that they couldn't see the questions. I know, sorry, it's just that I cannot display both things at the same time. But well, so we're gonna continue. We just have 3 more minutes up to go. So the national symbol was a harp. I know many of us thought it was a shamrock, but it wasn't. Some important, well, many people mentioned that there are beautiful landscapes in Ireland and everything. So, well, we're not going to check the rest of the questions because we're running out of time. But remember that the video link is in your handout. In one moment, I show it to you. So we're going to continue, and we have this last part just to close or to mention why culture is so important in English teaching. According to ACTFL, as you can see, this is the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. These are the 5 C's of the World Readiness Standards, which means that in order for our students to be ready, they need to know a little bit of each of these, right? So in this case, talking about these 5 aspects, they need to communicate effectively, right? Not only to communicate like interpersonally, but also to interpret the things. And also they need to be able to present information, concepts, and ideas. All right, about cultures, they need to relate cultural practices to perspectives, right? Like to investigate about culture. Relating cultural products to perspectives, learners use the language to investigate, explain, and reflect. Okay, this is also about culture. They need to investigate, explain, and reflect on the relationship between the products of culture and the perspectives. About making connections, I can tell you that they need to expand their knowledge to other disciplines. So in English class, we always have the chance to talk about other areas of knowledge, and that is a very good thing, a very good way of helping our students make connections. Acquiring information also in relation to connections, we have acquiring information and diverse perspectives. Ideally, students should have access to different sources of information. They need to learn how to evaluate that information, right? And to see the different perspectives of one same point. That is also something that is going to help them a lot throughout their lives. Talking about comparisons, they are going to use the language to investigate, explain, and reflect on the nature of language, and they are going to compare their own language to the language that they are studying. All right. They are going to use the language to reflect on the concept of culture by making comparisons of the cultures that they study. And communities. Remember that the school is a community, right? So they use the language within that community, and after that with their like a bigger community, and then with a globalized world. And the most important thing, lifelong learning. Learners should set goals and reflect on their progress in using languages for enjoyment, enrichment, and advancement. You remember, this is the 5 C's of the World Readiness Standards from McTEFL. If you want to find it online, this is the way you should look it up. Okay, guys. So, well, as I told you, there is a lot to language and to culture more, right? So cultural intelligence involves the ability to perceive and recognize cultural differences, the ability to accept cultural differences as well, the ability to appreciate and value cultural differences. So if we want to be culturally intelligent, these are some things that we need to learn to do. And there is a lot to it. This is, we're here, but all of these things are also related to culture. So we talked a little bit about body language, but even about eye. Like in some countries, you shouldn't look at someone in the eye if they are scolding you, especially if you're a child. Tempo of work, conception of justice, facial expressions, arrangement of physical space, social interaction. So there is a lot to it. I recommend that you dig a little bit deeper and try to learn more from English speaking countries or others that interest you or your students, guys. So just to round this up, I want to leave you with this quote: exploiting cultural differences and getting an insight into other people's ways is a powerful way for young people to realize the importance of suspending judgment, being flexible, being patient and empathetic for successful communication to take place. And I think now more than ever, this is something very important that we need to be aware of, and we need to become closer and to learn to help each other, right? So thank you so much for being here. This is the final slide. Here you will find my email in case you want to contact me with your questions or comments. Here is the email for marketing in case you need some information about any product from Richmond Publishing. And in order to watch the recording of the video, you have here our two channels from Richmond Webinars and from Richmond Teacher Training. In Richmond Webinars is where you will find this one. The others are about product information and training about our books and other Richmond products. Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure. I hope that it was useful. I hope that you liked it. And well, I was very happy to be here with you. Okay. Talking about culture is the way in which you will practice your language. And well, thank you very, very much. I will leave this for you for a little while so that you can copy that in case you want to. And well, I'm here for you. Don't doubt in sending me any questions or just if you want to say hello, I will be happy to get your emails. So, ta-ta.